Hi, welcome to my video. So it's late night and I had nothing else better to do but to read, and I decided I was motivated. I have a laptop, I have an HD built-in web camera, and so I decided, after messing with the controls, I don't think I did a great job with the controls, but I decided to read. And I'm going to read from this book. It's called The Oxford Book of American Short Stories, edited by Joyce Carol Oates, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's green cover. I think this is a famous painting. I don't know exactly. I didn't do the research in advance, so it kind of pays off to know that information. Maybe I'll put it in my YouTube notes. So the first story is on page 17. It's from the author Washington Irving. I've lived in New York City almost all my life, and there's a high school called Washington Irving, and I didn't know about this. Washington Irving, 1783 to 1859. I'm assuming he was born 1783, pardon me, and he died 1859. Born in New York City on April 3, 1783, the last of 11 children of a wealthy Scottish merchant and an Englishwoman, Washington Irving is our first American writer to achieve a distinguished international reputation, the first to become a classic during his own lifetime. Well-educated, cosmopolitan, imbued with a deep admiration for English literature and an interest in adapting such seemingly primitive forms as the ballad and the folklore for serious literary purposes. Irving strikes us as a highly conscious, even rather scholarly craftsman, an imitator, as Melville would characterize him, rather than a creative genius. Yet, so vividly rendered are certain of his fictitious characters, notably Rip Van Winkle and Ichabod Crane of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. So deeply imprinted have they become in the popular imagination, they strike us as mythopoetic figures, timeless, archetypal, transcending the circumstances of their own creation. Rip Van Winkle and Ichabod Crane spring from the pages of the sketchbook 1820, Irving's most famous title, published under the pseudonym Geoffrey Cranyon. I think I might have pronounced that wrong. In an earlier phase of his long career, Irving had achieved remarkable celebrity, aged 25 as Diedrich Knickerbocker, in the comically pedantic author of A History of New York, 1809. Irving was a writer of sketches rather than fully realized stories, and his characters, like the luckless Rip Van Winkle, have an emblematic quality, illuminated by the hearty glare of comedy. He was a superb stylist, not a psychologist, for whom, as he said, a story is merely a frame on which to sketch my materials. But which materials, and how elegantly constructed a frame? So I'm going to read Rip Van Winkle in the best way I can. So I do hope you can bear with me my pronunciation and slight pauses. Rip Van Winkle, a posthumous writing of Diedrich Knickerbocker. It starts off with a little, I don't know if this is a poem, but this is what it starts from. It says, and this is not the story, this is just maybe a poem. By Woden, god of Saxons, from whence comes Wensday, that is Wodensday. Truth is a thing that I ever will keep, until thylke day in which I creep into my sepulchre. I may have pronounced that word wrong, and it's from Cartwright. Alright, let's begin the story. I'm reading Washington Irving's Rip Van Winkle. Whoever has made a voyage up the Hudson must remember the Catskill Mountains. They are a dismembered branch of the great Appalachian family, and are seen away to the west of the river, swelling up to a noble height, and lording it over the surrounding country. Every change of season, every change of weather, indeed, every hour of the day produces some change in the magical hues and shapes of these mountains, and they are regarded by all the good wives, far and near, as perfect barometers. When the weather is fair and settled, they are clothed in blue and purple, and print their bold outlines on the clear evening sky. But sometimes, when the rest of the landscape is cloudless, they will gather a hood of gray vapors about their summits, which in the last rays of the setting sun will glow and light up like a crown of glory. At the root of these fairy mountains, the voyager may have descried the light smoke curling up from the village, whose shingle roofs gleamed among the trees, just where the blue tints of the upper land melted away into the fresh green of the nearer landscape. It is a little village of great antiquity, having been founded by some of the Dutch colonists in the early times of the province, just about the beginning of the government of the good Peter Stuyvesant. May he rest in peace. And there were some of the houses of the original settlers standing within a few years, built of small yellow bricks brought from Holland, having latticed windows and gable fronts, surmounted with weathercocks. In that same village, and in one of those very houses, which, to tell the precise truth, was a sadly time-worn and weather-beaten, there lived many years since, while the country was yet a province of Great Britain, a simple good-natured fellow of the name of Rip Van Winkle. He was a descendant of the Van Winkles who figured so gallantly in the chivalrous days of Peter Stuyvesant, and accompanied him to the siege of Fort Christina. He inherited, however, but little of the martial character of his ancestors. I have observed that he was a simple, good-natured man. He was, moreover, a kind neighbor and an obedient, hen-pecked husband. Indeed, to the latter circumstance might be owing that meekness of spirit which gained him such universal popularity. For those men are most apt to be obsequious. I might have pronounced that one wrong too. Obsequious. And I'll try to spell it, but it's spelled Obsequious, and conciliating abroad, who are under the discipline of shrews at home. Their tempers, doubtless, are rendered pliant and malleable in their fiery furnace of domestic tribulations, and a curtain lecture is worth all the sermons in the world for teaching the virtues of patience and long suffering. A termagant wife may, therefore, in some respects, be considered a tolerable blessing, and if so, Rip Van Winkle was thrice blessed. So I read three paragraphs so far of the story, and I want to continue, but I also maybe want to make this an interesting. I mean, I'm reading this story on YouTube, and you're probably watching this video. You can leave comments; it's totally cool with me. I would love some feedback. Maybe my sound doesn't sound great, or my tone, or my cadence of reading the stories. Maybe you have some suggestions. I definitely should have done earlier research using a pronunciation. I know some websites do have those words, but I'll put those words up also on my YouTube account. Some of the words I might have mispronounced, and some words that are new to me, and I'll share with you on YouTube. And you probably have some words from the story, and you can give me feedback, or maybe you can engage also and read back to me some. If you want to continue where I left off, that'd be great. It's on the depending on if you have this book. If you don't, maybe we can work that out. So this is the first of the series, and this is just a loving or a liking or a hobby, you could call that, of reading books and engaging in words and grammar, and getting into this world of what I read and what you read, and we can share that. Yeah, comments, any comments, constructive comments would be great, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So looking forward to hearing from you guys, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll be in the next one. Thanks.